Welcome, everyone, to the 64th official episode of Eunuch Corner Club Live. Today, we have a person returning that hasn't been to this channel for quite some time, even though we have stayed in conversations together. Stayed in communication together, had a few conversations, including one over on his channel in the last couple of years. But Pomen is a friend of mine from across the Atlantic, and he'll be joining us today to talk about his work, talk about interesting people, and why he chooses to feature them on his channel. We did not have an intro song today because I'm going to stop doing that on every one of my videos. We're just going to get right to it. And speaking of getting right to it, if you would like to send I'm sorry, I had a very unfortunate thing occur at my home right before the stream started, so I'm a little rattled, everyone. Forgive me. If you would like to ask questions to my guest or myself while we're talking, I will be keeping Entropy open, and Entropy is the link that I am pinning in the YouTube live chat right now, and I'll be posting it over in the Odyssey and D Live chats as well. Over there, you don't have to send in a financial gift to ask something of me or my guest. There is a question widget over on Entropy that you can use to put your questions and comments to my guest that I will get to whenever we have community engagement later in the stream. So that'll be in between 45 minutes and an hour from now. We'll look at any of the community engagement and questions you guys have for my guest before we get out of here. So to aid with my my nervous waffling, I would like to go ahead and bring my guest on. Pomen, thank you for being back with me again, friend. How are you doing this evening?
I'm doing quite well, actually. Things are going well. I'm glad to be back on.
I'm glad to be talking with you again. I always have a good conversation with you. You're an intelligent, kind man that always has something interesting to say. And that's one of the reasons I wanted to have you back on, is you have a lot of interesting things to say. So for my viewers, being mostly American, definitely mostly in the Anglosphere, many of them are not familiar with you or your work, especially because I've had a large change of audience. You know how it is. Followers come and go. And I haven't had you on the channel for a couple of years. So I wanted to bring you back on, especially because you've done some excellent videos recently I've enjoyed. And I thought just you could introduce yourself about the man you are, or the creator that you are, and what led you to being where you are today with the kind of things that you make. And take as long as you'd like to introduce yourself and talk about what's important to you.
Well, the man I am. It's always an interesting question. The man one is to define oneself in as fine words as one can. I'm quite a lot of things, I should say. I do create content on YouTube, and I like to focus on interesting people in history, or what I like to call absurd people. more my own twist on it. I do this most for fun.
Absurd can be interesting.
Yeah, no, it started with absurd. It started with just looking at people that aren't deemed intelligent or normal in society, so history have ignored them. So I look at them and look at their life in more detail than is mostly common that people look into. Because like in history, there's usually the interesting people, the weird people that everybody looks at, like the normal ones. But I'd like to go a little bit deeper and talk about people that no one has covered before.
Okay.
So I deep dive into people that my video will pretty much be the only one that's out there. And I try to do it's sort of a service also for the larger community.
Mm-hmm.
So if they want to look up a person, my video on them will be there. And then I mix things around. Sometimes I do this purely out of an educational purpose, and sometimes I just have fun with it. But example, I like to look up what impact some of my videos sometimes have. So I looked up someone named Marc Augier, or Saint Loup, which is a big figure in France. But I look at his name, and there's only two videos. One is his own speaking; it's an audio recording of himself, and the
Uh-huh.
second one is my video.
Oh,
But if
wow.
you are to look up any information on him, my video is where you can go. I know some might think, well, this is Wikipedia. No, there isn't.
Oh, wow. Interesting.
The Wikipedia on Mark in particular was crap. I even joked about it in my video, how most of the information there is wrong. Not everything, but there were a lot of wrong information there. And usually after my videos, people actually go in and change. I don't know if they did it with Augia, but I covered, for example, Francis Parker Yockey, and people actually
Hmm.
went into Wikipedia and changed things around based on things I've said, because I do have sources for most of the claims I make. I obviously make gaffes and jokes, no sources on that one. But whenever I make an actual claim, I have a source back it up. Now the question is, how good is the source? And that's a whole nother level of deep diving that I can't always go into. And usually it's been mostly covering Russian figures or French. So, which has a problem for me because I don't speak these languages. So it's not always fully primary sources I can go to,
Okay.
but still good enough for me.
Well, when it comes to sources, do you just
Mhm.
have access to excellent old libraries, or are you using
No,
internet sources for what you find?
uh, internet sources. Well, it's internet sources, yeah.
I
Uh,
assumed so. I just assumed that
yeah,
if it
no,
wasn't
but
coming from an old
it's
library, you had private access to or
no, no,
something.
no, 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 no. But it genuinely depending. So I have mostly, again, it depends on how long we spend on a video. If we're actually going reading books, then we read two or three, four books on the top. That takes a while because it's not just reading a book. You have to look into different claims. You have to back those up with the citations in the books. It takes a while. So there's one in particular I could recommend that I actually like is the Abraham Stern one. Every single claim there is backed. There's others like Volker Bernadotte, which is like a mix. Majority of the main claims are backed by books or biographies, and then
Mhm.
there's some smaller claims backed by internet sources. But the bigger ones that we spend a lot of time with, like Abraham, there is a few others I can't remember the top of my head. We actually went in and read multiple biographies to look into those people. But it is hard finding a lot of information, especially on obscure people. And for example, I have an issue right now. So I wanted to make a video on, I forgot her name, a Ukrainian anarchist. Uh, I forgot her name. Maria something. Uh, yeah. Maria Nikiforova. Forova. She's fascinating, but there is no good sources. So there's one source that I'm working with that every single left wing group is working with because it's the only source that exists. But the source is extremely biased. It compares the Russian Tsar to the KKK.
Weird.
And no, it's like, oh yeah, she lived during, like, you need to understand the Russian Empire as like this horrible system reminding me of the KKK. It's like, wow, this isn't biased at all. Like, come on, it's shit. So how those claims in comparison to her actual biography, what is truth in that? It's hard to say, and I can't find multiple sources to back up the same claim. So I can't do
Hmm.
a video on it. I don't feel good just regurgitating false information. So it's a bit sad. It's a bit sad. Yeah, it's and I have a lot of those conundrums because I don't want to just copy paste Wikipedia
Uh-huh.
to because it becomes that easily if it's just biography. It feels like someone saying, "Oh, this is just a nicer reading of Wikipedia." It's like, yeah, not really, but it feels like that easily if one relies on just more or less the same sources a wiki has done. It, it's not nice.
Well, let me ask you a question then.
Yeah.
since these people are obscure and it's
Mhm.
difficult to find information about them, and like you said
Yep.
with the one gentleman, I think it was the French guy,
Mhm.
your video is really the only thing about him. So
Yep.
how do you find obscure people? Like, what's your impetus? Do you just look through old books and say, "Oh, hey, here's an interesting person in
No.
history,"
Well,
and then say, "There's nothing about him," and that's how you get a name or an idea? I'd like to hear your process.
uh, strongly depends. Sometimes it's out of video games. People have like people make mods of or games out of obscure people, so like implementing them, but they don't know much about them. So I just go in and double check, and I find them very interesting. I was about to make a joke as well. There is this book, biography dictionary. Sorry, biographical dictionary of extreme right since 1890. Every time I cover a right wing person, people use that one as their main source, and it's so bad. But it has every single person that is like of the far right during modern history. Oh, but it's so hilarious. So if I want an inspiration, or let's say I want to do a right wing person, I can just look at this massive list and just look, just if I feel interested in anyone, just scroll through and that's
Okay.
someone interesting. Let's keep going there because there's many funny figures. The thing with dissident groups, fascist groups, for example, during the 40s,
Uh-huh.
you, there were many different groups from all over Europe that were fascist, but not many of them had an origin of the actual fascist doctrine that came from Italy. So they were quite weird. They were autistic nerds, many of them, turned politicians or soldiers that
Autistic nerds
later.
that have to get politically active. That sounds relatable.
Yeah. So you see these weird, funny people, and I just like to look at them. Like it's ridiculous, but it's really fun. So the long lists of far right, it's a lot of fun ones. But I can't just do far right. There's another thing I
Mhm.
have to be careful about because if I only
Right.
cover the far right, then people can think I'm a right, like far right wing, fascist. I'm
Yeah.
not. So sometimes I go and cover communists because that's also fun.
Mhm.
There's
Oh,
many funny
there's all
communist
kinds of
groups.
hilarious stories
Oh
I've been
yeah,
told about weird things that happened in the Soviet Union.
yeah. So it's one person I followed, for example. Let's see if I got his name. Yeah, Gleb Borky, which was a decryptor for the USSR, and he was into the occult. So dude he was the best decryptor in all of the USSR, and he decrypted most of the higher rankings messages to each other. But because he knew he was in that position that he was the best, he could do whatever he wanted, and that's what he did. He fucked with everybody, and it's absolutely hilarious. So usually, well, two stories I can tell about him. One is because he had the power to do, he got his own sort of mansion outside the city, free to do what he wants. He says, I want this as a learning area for the folks to come, and I will teach them about decryption. Nah, it was him to have orgies and just
Oh,
degenerate
goodness.
shit. He could do it. He didn't care. And he talked about the occult, and he believed in Agartha, and he wanted to do expeditions to the Himalayas to find Agartha, and just ridiculous stuff. Another funny story is one of the high-ranking I forgot what the name of the Secret Service was for the USSR, but horrible people, like the people who, if you sneeze the wrong way, you go and die. The
Now,
people.
I know, I know. Remember, I'm not a scholar, but from what I know from fiction, there was the NKVD and the KGB, but there might have actually been other stuff going on there with other
Yeah,
acronyms. But those are
yeah,
just the two I know as an American from video games and
yeah.
stuff.
This is like in the 50s. So
Okay,
this is uh, yeah, this is before Stalin's death. So I think
so
I don't know. I think it
so
was
probably
before World
KGB
War.
then,
No, it
or
was before World War II. So
oh, okay,
never mind their names.
okay,
Yeah, it was during the Great Purge, like right before the Great Purge.
Okay.
So it was before World War II. But the higher ranking, he because he sent messages. So someone could be like, I want you to bring me a glass of vodka for my summer resort. All right. So he sends, AKVD, that's the name of it. And then he sent that message, said, I'm gonna fuck with them. So he sent those message out to different people, so everybody knows he's gonna have vodka. They thought they were compromised. So in this house near the lake where he was with two women, all of a sudden, it was first in the storage room. People were coming with machine guns, like, "Oh, what the hell is happening? What the hell is happening?" Nearly shooting each other there because of the vodka. And then people were coming to his house. "Oh, what's happening? What's happening?" And again, the guy could just laugh. No one could do anything about him. He just laughed while fucking with everybody.
Wow, that's interesting.
Yeah, the power of this person. But again, he was killed. If I'm correct, he got killed during the Great Purge. So.
Oh, gee, I wonder why.
Yeah, no, he wasn't. No, but he wasn't inherently a bad guy. He was just very good at what he was doing. But he knew the system. Like, he was for the revolution early on. He really believed in it because he wanted to help people. But immediately when he figured out that this revolution is not helping people, it's just making the richer, like the bureaucrats rich and corrupt people rich, he fucked with them in every way that he possibly could fuck with them. Because these people are bad. He doesn't care. Like, he still believes that somehow communism could be, but not with this regime.
Yeah.
But with his skill, I can't do anything about that. And there's a lot. I recommend watching the video.
Speaking of watching the video,
Yeah.
I actually have your website prepared here, or not your website, your YouTube channel prepared for people to look at. This is Pomen's channel over here, everybody. We're going to go ahead and copy paste that into the chat here while we're speaking. All right, there you go. I recommend everybody give him a follow, a subscribe, etc., etc. He's a lot of fun. I enjoy his videos from time to time. And in preparation for my talk with him today, I listened to several of them.
Yes.
One I liked the most is actually his recent one, the Chukchi, the true humans from way north in Russia there.
Northeast.
And I also really enjoy, there they are, the crazy Vietnam people. Oh my God, these are amazing videos.
Oh yeah. Oh yes, I love those ones.
Like, especially the dragon lady. My goodness.
Oh yeah.
So
damn, that era right there where you're at is really good.
Yeah.
Like, I'm proud of most of those videos in that region. Like
in this block right here, these ones.
Yeah, the block right there. Oh.
Because I listened to the Bolshevik occultism one last year when it came out. I don't remember much about it. And then I listened to that one not long after. These I thumbed through today. But these two about
these some are jokes. Some are jokes.
Yeah.
Not all videos are serious. There's a lot of jokey ones.
Cool.
But
well, do you want to take a minute as a teaser and tell people about the crazy the crazy Den brothers or the Dragon Lady?
Oh, you can show them the Dragon Lady. So more or less, the war in Vietnam was such a clusterfuck. It was such a clusterfuck, unironically. So the South Vietnamese, while they were loyal to the Americans, that's kind of the entire focus. Like, that's why Americans liked them. They were also crypto-communists or anarchists. So it wasn't, and they were completely insane. I don't know, the video. It's so hard. The video and the other video is really good. So I usually like to watch these at 1.5 or 2 speed. I think I speak very slowly.
You do speak slowly, but I appreciate that because it's easy to follow. Because a lot of times when people talk about history, they'll say names and dates that are in a language that my brain doesn't grab easily. So I appreciate you speaking slowly. It actually helps me understand it. But no, listening on 1.5 is definitely that's how I listen to a lot of content on YouTube. So, do you want to listen to a moment of this live on stream?
Yes.
It's quite good. It's quite good. Let's listen to the first few minutes of this. Well, this one's only 6 minutes long. It's really interesting. Here's a good teaser of the kind of content you can find on Pomen's channel.
The few misguided men and women who were burnt to death in recent weeks were all victims of incest. The communists have exploited this for political purposes because they know that they are fast losing the war in Vietnam and are desperate to use any means they can to discredit us, to sow dissension among the Allies and delay the communist defeat.
Quinquo vaqui hansa. What you just heard was Madame Nhu talking about the monks that put.
Yeah, I actually.
Sorry, what did you say? What was
that? Whenever I talk about someone from another language, I usually try to have an intro, say, "Hello, ladies and gentlemen," in their language. So that's actually Vietnamese.
Oh, okay, interesting. I didn't know that.
Put themselves on fire in Saigon. The monks that will make her husband, Madame Nhu, want to kill America. That would lead to the CIA and the Americans launching a coup on South Vietnam to remove Madame Dinh and Madame Nhu from power. And this speech happened in Harvard. At the time she was there, time she was in America doing speeches about the future of South Vietnam and the crazy parts about the monks burning themselves up, the coup was being launched and her husband would die. Madame Nhu's name is Tran Le Xuan. Madame Nhu in many ways was Nhu's spokesperson. Dinh, his brother, was the leader of South Vietnam, which he could use to get political power. His wife was used to get foreign aid and foreign powers to listen. And people listened to her. She became very famous in the West. Like, oh, this beautiful Vietnamese woman coming to talk to us. But in actuality, she was just a propaganda tool. But she had undeniable power in South Vietnam. And in many ways, people could blame her for many things. But it's important to remember why she became a big thing in the West. She got...
I just like to point out she's got crazy eyes.
Oh, yeah.
the nickname Dragon Lady.
Yeah, go ahead.
No, she's insane. I'm just reading. Madame Nhu's husband was murdered by the CIA. Correct. Because, I'll say it later, but I want to say it anyways now. Because the husband of her wanted to kill every single American in South Vietnam and then launch a coup on American homeland, like actual coup into America.
Wow.
To make sure that South Vietnam was safe. And again, you think, haha, that's the actual leadership of the South Vietnamese government.
Good Lord.
Continue.
By the American media because of her vicious tongue and her glamorous image. When the monks put themselves on fire, she said, "Let them burn, and we shall clap our hands. If the Buddhists wish to have another barbecue, I will be glad to supply the gasoline and a match." Everyone was so fascinated by this very odd character. And when she found out that her husband and brother-in-law died, she hid. She just ran away. No one could find her for quite a long period of time. It was shocking. Luckily, her children survived the coup. But Madame Nhu, right before the coup, she became the face of Vietnam. Because it was really hard to connect to the Dinh brothers, as I stated, Nhu used his wife as a propaganda tool, so people could reflect the situation that's happening in South Vietnam onto a person. It would be Madame Nhu. What Madame Nhu could do was try to build up a better image. Because of the way she speaks, because of the way she looks. She was a conservative hardliner, a tough damsel in distress, and she became a symbol that people could project onto. A symbol of what's wrong with Vietnam, or the symbol that's wrong with American involvement. Instead of the hatred towards the Dinh brothers, focus on her. Now one can ask, why did she become such a vicious little witch? She didn't have a good life. She did come from a quite well-off family, but she did live through the tougher periods of Vietnam. French Indochina collapsing, Japan occupation, the Second World War, which France colonial authorities for some reason.
That picture right there makes her look like an assassin in a Bond movie.
Oh yeah. And again, she is.
I'm not.
Definitely the type, right?
She's evil. She's evil.
That well off with Vietnam history, so that's just interesting. the post-war French attempting to reassert control by a bloody nationalist insurgency, which ended with them being occupied and, the partition of the North and the South. To mention how people actually thought of her, many believed her to be the Marie Antoinette of this decade. A female in a collapsing regime, being very arrogant and ignorant of what's going on. The CIA compared him to Borgia, and President Kennedy blamed the entire coup and its outcome on her, saying, "That goddamn bitch. She's responsible. That bitch stuck her nose in and boiled up the whole situation down there." But she's actually interesting in many other ways. I don't know all too much. I had to do more reading. There's a book called Finding the Dragon Lady. Even though she's conservative, she's the first one to ever be photographed nude in Vietnam. She's the first one to go naked, free the nipple movement, or what do you call it?
Good
to
Lord.
be naked in Vietnam.
I forgot that.
There's photos of her out there somewhere I can't find, of her naked with a bush. It's just a bush. Sorry, I had to say that. But that's a statement. We don't have to be this conservative. Show your body, be naked, go on the beach. There's a lot of photos of her with very skimpy bikinis, sort of showing off her beauty. But it's a symbol, like, the Vietnamese women should be allowed to show their body off, to have bikinis, to not worry about the more conservative narratives. But that's the interesting part. She's a bit of a libertine, but at the same time, in a very conservative government, she is an enigma.
What have the Buddhist leaders done comparatively? The only thing they have done, they have barbecued one of their monks, whom they have intoxicated, whom they have abused the confidence. And even that barbecuing was done not even with self-sufficient means, because they used imported gasoline.
Because they used imported gasoline.
No, but she's not wrong either. That's the thing. Yes, this one does go very negative towards her for good reasons. I mean, yes, her character does that to herself, but absolutely, she has many good points as well. It is still a war. The North, as you pointed out, the monks didn't just burn themselves out of how can I say it? No reason whatsoever. It was mostly, as I understand it, her husband's brother, Nordin. It's actually, I mispronounced it, but it's Nordin Sim or something like that. But I'm going to call him Dim.
Well, I certainly wouldn't know.
Yeah, exactly. It's whatever. But the leader of South Vietnam, he's Catholic. And his form of government would be a Catholic anarchistic government. Totalitarian Catholic anarchistic government, weird thing. So the Buddhists wouldn't be very happy. It wasn't very much religious freedom to Buddhists in the South, which made the Buddhists go against them. But as she pointed out, where did the monks get their gasoline? Who made them push this far? And yeah, the North has a lot to do with that too, because it was war. But the reason, I mean, that's just her being vile. She can still use her words a lot better. I mean, using vile language does not convince anybody that you're right. But the reason for the coup of South Vietnam wasn't because of the monks. That was just an excuse by media. It was literally because they killed Americans.
Well, I found it very interesting, and I listened to on double speed the one about the Din brothers. I thought that was interesting as well. I definitely recommend you guys listen.
I recommend the person in the comment section, Peel, to actually watch the Din brother one. Because
I'm not going to respond to Peel because I know nothing about Vietnam and its struggles, so I have absolutely no opinion on any of that. So I have no dog in that race at all. I have nothing to say on it. But I just that was a good sample because it was a short one, and I thought she looked like a crazy Bond lady, so I thought it would be fun to share for everybody.
Yeah, but I mean, but at the same time, she's extremely beautiful.
Oh, definitely. And she sounded intelligent too.
She is educated in Harvard, so she has a very good education.
Yeah, she spoke English well too. Like I had no trouble understanding her at all. Like it was very impressive.
Yeah, again, I am I'm negative a lot towards her, mostly because the way she used her words. It wasn't clever to say barbecued. Like, no, if public opinion is against you, you have to be more careful with your words.
Donald Trump could take that lesson as well.
Yeah.
All right. The next question that I had for you was, do you have any new projects coming up, or any new ideas, or any new things you're working on with others for the horizon you'd like to talk about?
Well, I mean, I've been in a bit of a dip with content for the moment. I haven't produced a lot because I don't feel comfortable or happy with the things I'm producing. Again, I don't like stating the same thing over and over again. But we have, yes, we have certain things, but we don't know how we will do it as videos because they are spicy. What's his name again?
Speaking of spicy, do you have an Odyssey or a BitChute or a
No,
Rumble
I
or
don't need.
something
I
like
don't
that?
need. I don't need that.
Okay, I just was curious if you had another channel I didn't know about that you uploaded other stuff to. I didn't know.
No.
Okay.
Forgot his name again. Carto. Willis Carto. Is that it? Yeah, Willis Carto. We gone in and looked at Willis Carto's Strunking stuff. We got a guy who went and looked at it, looked at his actual first-hand sources of what he wrote himself. We're gonna then either make a video, which is gonna be harder, or just write an article about Carto. And if you wonder who Carto is, well, after Francis Parker Yockey, and if you don't know who Yockey is, then you can go further back, but let's stick with that. He was sort of the dissident right before it all went to shit in America. So you had, yeah, more or less you had actually three traditions of right wings in America, and these three traditions are. There's probably more, but I would say three just for simplicity for now.
My friend Paul really likes Yockey. He's gotten me to read a little bit of some Yockey things. That's the guy who was influenced by Spengler, I think, and wrote about the Great Cycle and the turning of empire, that kind of thing. Yeah, I read a little bit about that. He sounded like a smart guy with a lot of interesting things to say.
I mean, absolutely, you wouldn't be here if it wasn't for him.
Oh, interesting.
Genuinely,
so
most American. Yeah,
so he really is a primary writer of the early DR days.
Yes, correct.
Okay, cool.
I mean, he's the reason why it's still somewhat alive. Not that he would be happy with how it turned out. It turned out quite shit. Sorry.
Yeah.
But he tried, and I gotta give him credit for that. He got screwed over though. But with him, with Yockey, it was Carter that kind of upkept that tradition. He had an office in Washington, D.C. He tried to work with Parliament, worked with George Wallace. So he was like, dissident right still had some fluctuation in American politics during this time. That wasn't Dixiecrats or anything like that, but actual more right-wing, like German right-wing conservative focus. But after Carto, it more or less, that's it.
Okay.
It just turned down to shit. And if you look at the progression from Carto to what's now it's literally you have to bomb your local, what was it? Bomb your mailman.
Something like that, yeah.
I don't want to talk more about that topic, but
usually, no, of course not.
Sadly has gone to a very bad one.
Yeah.
But fine. many groups that has focused on, for example, pan-Europeanism, can take its influence from Yockey.
Okay.
So alt-right, I hate to use the word alt-right, but that idea wouldn't be in existence if it wasn't for Yockey. Spencer would not have those ideas if it wasn't for Yockey, or Carto in that other ways, because he kept a lot of those traditions also alive.
Now, from listening to DR Discourse, I know that René Guénon influenced those guys too, and I saw that you had a Guénon video.
Yes, but I don't speak about tradition there. So he created something called the Traditionist School, which was sort of a philosophy away from modernism. I am not an expert on a traditional school. Usually, it has something called, the main idea of it is perennialism, which is that everything has a divine source or an origin source. So a lot of it's metaphysics, which means how you view the world, or how you think the world is around you. I should more say that takes from this perennialism, and then politics and religion has been based upon that. And a lot of it is that you as an individual don't know. You have to accept that you don't know, and you have to accept that there's a higher source that knows, and you have to follow that and understand it. Not Christian wise, it's really weird, but the higher source is not God, but it's, let's say, old traditions, feudalistic traditions, for example, that existed for 2,000 years, that has not per se a divine source, but it has a source, it has a reason for its own existence. And you can't just drop that. You have to understand that and use it, or more or less continue it, and not just go into modernism, because a lot of modernist idea doesn't ground itself on traditional history. So you have to try to reject modernism and return to a traditional form, a form that has been there for a long time and we understand.
Okay, interesting. So that sounds like one of the building blocks of a lot of the DR type of philosophy I hear going back and forth.
Yeah, it includes ancestral memory, absolutely.
Okay.
Ancestors are very important. There's a lot to it. Mostly focused, again, it's philosophy, metaphysics, usually. But I'm not an expert in that.
Well, me either, but I find all of that stuff very interesting. Like whether it's about Gnosticism or talking about ancient Vril or ancient energies and Vril. Like I find all of that weird occult stuff very fascinating to read about. It's just it's very interesting.
Well, yeah, Vril. It's not really. I actually read the book. I have the book still on my thing here. I forgot where it is. But yeah, no, but really, that concept is, yeah.
Well, it was like I don't know where it came from, but
I made a video on it as well. Yeah, Edward Bulwer Lytton created it. He made it. He's a cultist. He liked the cult things, theosophy, and the rest.
Yeah.
And he wrote a book, a story about a man dropping down a large chasm and finding himself in a new world. And this world was run by, there was an energy there called Vril, but the people there were amazing, fantastic, like massive humans. Like,
yeah, I heard about that from a Robert Sepper
absolutely
video.
Beautiful. Yeah, I know Sepper, but it's a meme. It's a fucking meme. Some people have viewed it as, oh, that is real. No.
Oh, I don't think it's real. I just think it's interesting to hear about. It's very very interesting to me. I like weird stuff and strange metaphysical things. People who talk about, well, if Atlantis really existed, where was it, or where did it go? That kind of thing. I just find that stuff fun to listen to. Not. I don't want you to think I actually believe all of this.
No.
I just think it's interesting.
Yeah, but again, that also connects back to Agatha. And Agatha, in a lot of occultism, is about a world underneath our world, a more civilized world underneath the Earth's.
Fascinating.
That has tradition and perfect morality, and they're superhuman, more or less. They're amazing. And in Vril, there was also different humans. People have found Vril, which there are superhumans, and people who haven't found Vril, and those are like monkeys. But yes, one interesting part is how it usually goes back to sex with Vril. It's not supposed to be. It's literally just sort of a energetic connection in the book. Like they have metal wings. They use Vril to control the metal. They use Vril to control the ovens. Not really supposed to be anything special, but it's turned special. And one interesting part of Vril the book talks about is one of the real women found the man not attractive per se, but she wanted him.
Mm-hmm.
And the man had to make a choice. Will I be with the woman or shall I go back up? And the most likely the father of the girl would have killed him if he said yes, but he still wanted to hear him out. He said no. And a lot of there's a video out there talking about it's such a racist thing that he was not allowed to marry this beautiful woman of higher race than himself. And then you compare that to like modern day racism. But it's like you should I'm thinking, but I'm thinking you should more compare her, not a god, but let's say that she's a normal human. It's like having sex with a monkey. The people above Earth is so below the people down there because they have will and they're like nearly immortals. They live for thousands of years. And here comes a monkey that lives for 70 years who wants to go like 666. Yeah, you're not like that's it. That's how he views it. But everybody kind of some people who read that takes way too much into the symbolicism of it. It's an interesting story. That's it. It was actually an interesting read.
I might listen to your video on that and do some more reading. That sounds fascinating.
Yes.
So let's move to your website now. I'm going to go ahead and pop that up here. Let's maximize that so we can.
Yeah, good thing I changed the description. Oh no, actually, hold on. You know what I can do? I'm gonna do something real quick here, very sneakily, while we're showing my website.
Okay.
Give me a little moment.
Tell me.
Yeah. No, go on. Just.
Okay.
Keep going.
I was just going to say this.
You will see it.
Okay. All right. This is Pomen's website. I'm going to go ahead and link it to you guys. If put it in your bookmarks or favorite it or whatever. I'm going to go ahead and put this in all the chat for everybody. There we go. And now it's over on Odyssey as well. There we go.
Thank you. All right, I'm clicking this one. And let's see. You have to most likely refresh the page.
Yeah, I just clicked refresh. We'll see what happens.
The picture's not the greatest. All right, I think I can change that later. There we go. It's a small little article I just wrote today, talking about the election. So there is someone I want to cover in the future, but how I will cover him is gonna be odd.
Okay.
It's a video you can actually watch. I'm gonna find it for you. Where more or less it's a tiny little article. It's a quick read. It says I think 2 minutes or 3 minutes, very small one, but it's all based upon one video that you can actually watch in its entirety. Oh, hold on, where can I send this to you on Twitter?
Oh yeah, you can send it to me on Twitter. That's fine.
There you go. You can watch this, which is what the article is about.
Okay. Give me just a second. I got to get this fired up here in the tab that I have open. That way I won't have to redo it. I can just load it in right here. Here we go.
Ouais. Hein? Une démocratie, pour moi, c'est quand les propositions de loi viennent, donc la pétition, et sont adoptées ou refusées par l'ensemble de la population, donc par référendum.
Le référendum, oui.
Sinon, c'est pas une démocratie, c'est même pas une parodie de démocratie. À mon avis, même la vraie vocation de l'Europe, c'est de rendre impossible toute démocratie, d'installer définitivement le gouvernement des experts.
Et vous, l'Europe, ça vous emmerde en fin de compte alors?
Non, mais je suis contre. C'est pas que ça m'emmerde, c'est que je suis contre pour les raisons que je viens de vous dire. Parce que ça ne sera jamais une démocratie. Et pour moi, la démocratie, c'est le futur. L'Europe, c'est une régression. À partir du moment où il y a élection de représentants, pour moi, il n'y a plus de démocratie.
Bah, on est quand même assez libre en France, Michel. Bah, je sais pas,
Au point où c'en est, je souhaite que ça finisse en insurrection.
Quoi?
En insurrection. Et je trouve que Bruxelles serait un très bel endroit pour une guerre civile. Il n'y a pas de démocratie à l'heure actuelle, hein. Sinon, dans une légère mesure, une certaine mesure, la Suisse.
La Hollande, la Suède?
Non. Sûrement pas. La Suède est un des pays les plus antidémocratiques du monde. C'est une véritable dictature, la Suède. Il est impossible de penser ce qu'on veut. C'est pire qu'en France, même.
Yeah.
That'll be fun. That'll be fun.
And the little post I just made was a joke on that one, because he
Okay,
actually
cool.
I want again. He is interesting, but he's really hard to cover, that man, because he's weird. But
Oh, he
what
seems
he's-
weird for sure.
Oh yeah, he's so weird, but he's fun. But again, hard to cover. But the reason why I find that very interesting is what I like to call, what the Swedes like to call, the laws of Jante, Jantes lagar, which means you're not supposed to be different, special. You're not supposed to brag. If you have more money than someone else, keep it quiet. If you're better than someone else, keep it quiet. If you're worse than someone else, keep it quiet. And more or less, this stops any dissenting ideas. So the government, the controlling parties, uses this a lot. So anyone who is even a tiny bit away from them or disagrees with them, shush. They want you to shush. Don't say anything. And he says that you can't speak freely. And how can you have a democracy if you're not allowed to speak freely? And that's a problem Sweden has quite a lot. And now with the new party elected in, Swedish Democrat got the second one, second biggest party now in Sweden. They're gonna go insane. They're gonna call every single name under the front. They're gonna call it anti-democratic, because they went against the norm. And I actually want to say they're not actually going against the norm. They were against the norm in the beginning, in the 90s and up to early 2000s, but they have become so much the norm. They just cookie cutter centrists, more or less. Being cookie cutter centrist in Sweden means that you are so far dissident right, if you get my point. So it will attack you and attack you and attack you, because that's a way to keep people following the status quo. It's a bit more extreme here than elsewhere, because if you're in a big group of people, sure, you can talk if you're with close friends openly. But if you're a small group and you say something that goes against it, and for example, interestingly, if you look at pollings in Sweden, there's a trend where men don't actually tell anybody what they vote on before they vote, because if you say you vote for the Swedish Democrats, you can lose your job, you can lose your wife, you can lose everything.
I've heard that it's bad over there, but I of course, I only speak English, so it's difficult for me to really understand what's going on in other countries. I wish I had the mind and the time to do it, but that my mind is only so big, and I can only handle so much.
Yeah.
But no, I do like the Swedish people I talk to, and Sweden's a beautiful country. I do hope that, just like I hope for all of our countries, I hope that more reasonable people will come to the forefront, and we will have, some way out of all of this. And one thing I can relate to, though, certainly, is people having to be careful what they say publicly, because a lot of places in America, it's pretty bad too, where you can lose your job, you can lose your kids, depending on what you say or who you associate with. And I don't know if you've heard recently, but the FBI has become pretty aggressive in attacking political opponents of the current regime.
I mean, that's because Biden's an idiot. So what happened when Biden got into power? No, but this is true. What happened when Biden got into power? He's a yes sayer. So Trump, when he was in power, he only said yes to a few CIA things in the beginning, but one of them led to death of a few people. So that was a direct. They asked Trump, "Hey, can we do this?" He said, "Yeah, sure. Why not?" And someone died, civilians died, and that made him remorseful. He hated it. So Nixon never said any yes to any bigger operation that they had planned. But I spoke to guys inside the system, and they pretty much say Biden says yes to everything. Every single thing Biden says yes to. That's a big issue. So I usually joke that it's America is now like CIA or Staat. It's like controlled by them at this point. Yeah, because again,
America's got its own Stasi problem now.
they can do whatever they want at this point, which is really bad. Because these people, they don't care. They're bureaucrats. Like I have a lot of examples I can't use. I'm not allowed to say, but
Right.
yes, the amount of shittiness that they do is ridiculous. And why? Well, I mean, mostly it's because we spoke about this, the bureaucracy and budgets.
Yeah. And it's also power has to necessitate itself, and it has
Correct.
to punish those that threaten it. That's pretty much always how it goes.
I think
And
I think it was with you. I had this conversation 2 years ago.
Uh-huh.
It was a guy, you and I, and a guy, and I more or less said the same thing, where how it's all just bureaucratic, more or less, why things are happening, and he got so angry because he
But I
wants
mean,
an enemy.
that's the nature of large bureaucracies, though,
Yeah.
because natural human connection and natural human sympathy, it does not scale up infinitely. And when you have these giant bureaucratic organizations that have sway and control over millions of people's lives and have hundreds of billions of dollars of funding and tracking money and going back and forth, it just sort of it pulls the most evil and the darkest of us to the forefront. It's very ugly.
Yeah, absolutely. But the issue with this is there's no clear enemy. So the guy, the reason why that guy got angry when I told him about more or less what you're saying now as well, is because now he has no one to blame per se. Because there is no one person to blame. Sure, Biden.
Right.
Yeah, Biden, absolutely. In many ways, he's the president. He should stop this.
That's why I've always counseled people. Like there are a lot of hot-headed Americans that just they have bigger hearts than they do brains, and they think that they can solve their problems with bullets. And
which you can't.
The sad state of affairs about how this bureaucratic nightmare that we found ourselves in the 21st century is you can't just put bullets in people or blow up a building to fix any problems. Terrorism is stupid and bad anyway, but it also won't give you any good result, because if you kill a bureaucrat, there's already another bureaucrat ready to take its place. If you blow up a building, they have everything that was important in it usually ready to go in another part of their bureaucracy, or they'll just make it over again. So the only way out of this is to use responsible amounts of a mix of things: voting, parallel building, voting with your feet, building strong communities, raising intelligent children to make better decisions.
But
that's the, in my opinion,
Yes,
that's
but
the
also-
correct way forward out of this.
What I usually say to people, this will take time. The system in place is self-destructive.
Mhm.
Any Byzantine system that's like bureaucracy, that's self-destructive.
Right.
It will run.
It
its
definitely
course.
won't last.
No. Can't. No. But there is no one person. So you just have to wait. Do the best for your community, your family, and people around you. Even though you have challenges, stay strong, and then hope. Just wait until the storm is over.
Yeah.
As sad as that is, but genuinely,
I
even if
use
you
the
get in
storm
position,
metaphor a lot, actually. I use the storm metaphor on my channel, I think Monday night. But I often talk about the sort of like how people talk about riding the tiger or enjoying the collapse, that kind of talk.
Well, I
That's why
don't
I say
agree
there's a
with that,
storm.
though.
I don't think there's going to be a massive collapse or anything, but I do think that the current structure that we have known in our lives is definitely not going to last a lot longer, and things are going to change a lot. And I think that the best thing that we can all do is treat it like a bad storm or a long winter coming, and do the best we can to prepare and network and do the best we can.
I mean, let's compare it to when Western Roman Empire collapsed. It wasn't a massive storm, really. Sure, the bureaucracy system and the currency system were fucked, but let's say you were working in the fields. The only thing that happened was you changed owner. There's nothing else pretty much happened.
Yeah.
Most farms were just replaced, or they kept working, but they just had to work with other systems.
Yeah.
It
And
weren't
one of the
fun,
things
and
that
you
people-
don't have your caviar anymore.
Right. And
Material.
that's one of the things I wanted to say to people listening. When people like me and Pomen talk about collapse, we're not talking about it's going to be Mad Max and people murdering each other with hatchets to eat each other. Collapse just means the decline of an empire, and those pieces break apart and become parts of other entities.
Yeah.
And just remember, in some of the worst times of collapse, regular people still led regular lives and had families and had children and made artwork and that kind of thing. So when we talk about collapse, that's what we're talking about. We're not talking about absolute bedlam and everybody having to fend for themselves like it's Fallout or something.
But certain areas that will be the case, but not over the entire globe or your community. But yes, but again, this is why you have to keep your community safe and sort of focus on that, because if shit goes to hell, let's talk about it. If your community ain't safe, let's say you have a lot of what do you call it, aggressive people in your community, it's gonna go to hell real quick. But this is why the farms, like in Italy, weren't like hell on earth, because they have some way of protecting themselves. There were no larger groups coming usually in. It was just replaced, or you just keep working because your community was safe already. Even if the central government of Rome broke down, your community was still safe. But if you're in Rome, then you're fucked. But as long as you weren't there in certain major cities, you're usually oftentimes fine.
Well, we're at the hour mark, so I'm going to tell everybody in chat, get your questions in. I have the entropy link put as the pinned comment in chat right now. I don't have any questions for you over on entropy yet. There isn't anything. And over on Odyssey and DLive, there's not much activity either. We only have one paid chat so far, and that was over on Cash App. But it's strange. It's from RG. This says your real name on Cash App, so I'm not going to say
don't say that. Don't say that.
Yeah. I'm just going to use the initials. RG sent $1.14. Thank you for the $1. I appreciate that. And he says, "Why don't you say hello to your folks in chat, dude? I say hi to my chat all the time. I'm very active with my chat, and I just said something a little while ago in chat. I don't know if this is a joke. I don't get it, RG. Why don't you say hello to folks in chat? I do all the time.
What do you just do? Hello, everybody, once again. Hello.
Hello, chat. I'll even type it out in big letters so you can see it there, RG. Hello.
Hello.
But if you guys have any questions for Pomen or anything you want to ask him, go ahead and get that in the next few minutes here, and we'll ask him that before we say our goodbyes. So moving into the final portion of the stream, then I always like to allow my guest to ask me any questions, or to elaborate on anything that came up earlier in the stream, or to talk about something specific that hasn't come up yet that they would like to share with me. So anything come to mind that you'd like to talk about here?
Oh boy, put me on the spot. I know you well. I mean, it's been 2 years, so have any big thing happened to you last 2 years?
Yes and no. I have been working on my mental health and physical health because before you knew me, I had a very trying time in life. I lost my career. I lost everything I had built. I got ran out of the city by rabid anti-white communist jackals that I lived in. And I sort of had to come back to the mountains where I was from and start over in my 30s, in my late 30s. And I've not been in the best mental shape. And of course, with the COOF and the political turmoil and the technocratic, all the stuff going on, it makes people that have lost a lot like me and try to stay connected. It makes me specifically have a very bleak outlook, and I struggle with that. So I've tried to become more active in different communities that do things in person. That helps a lot. I've been going outside for walks and exercising more. And I've been doing my best to make myself have at least 3 days every week in a row, usually Thursday, Friday, Saturday, where I don't look at the internet. I don't respond to social media. I keep my phone turned off. And I just try to focus on doing things with people in person here. My husband, his friends, we play Dungeons and Dragons on Thursday nights. And I'm trying to force myself away from the culture war and just focus on building something real with others as much as I can. That's helped me some. Do you have anything to say about that? Is that a thing that you try to do in your life as well?
No, I don't have an issue with that. I mean, I'm a black pilled, yeah.
I think about anybody intelligent these days is.
Yeah, but I don't ever let that consume me in any ways. Because there's no point with that. No,
Yeah, but I
things
struggle
go
with that though.
through.
That is one of my crutches. Is I
Mhm.
have a very obsessive mind, and
Oh, yeah.
because of what I've faced and all that I've lost and the problems that I've had, it makes it hard for me because not only did I lose everything socially that I'd built, I lost everything financially I'd built too, and had to start over, and it was very hard on me.
Fresh start. Yeah, it's not fun.
But I'm
Uh,
doing the best that I can, and that's so.
that's all you can do. That's all you
Yeah,
can do.
and I guess anything new is just I'm trying to be healthier. I'm doing my best to not be as active online.
Mm.
Um, I of course keep up my channel, but I focus more on live streams instead of just trying to make videos about what's going on. Thousands of people are making videos about what's going on, and I haven't
Yeah,
really found my niche for making video content. I love streaming because I feel like my gift is talking to people, and so I
mm,
like to stream with other people, but my channel sort of suffers because of that. So really the only video content I've been doing for the last year really has just been doing my morning walk videos where I just share my mind and record myself talking about things for 5 to 15 minutes and upload those to my channel while I take a walk in the morning around here. So that's really what I've sort of shifted to.
yeah. I mean, if you're happy with that, it's fine. But community building, like the thing is, you look at my channel and go, "Oh, it's not many subscribers." Yeah, but it's not about that. I, but YouTube is a hobby for me.
Hmm.
The other things I do on the side is where it all matters. But so your online presence, sure, that can represent something, but it's not the important aspect.
Right.
It's what you do in real life.
Hmm. Absolutely.
And if you focus on, you can just, I don't know, I'm just, it doesn't matter that many you're not liking to do videos. I mean, if you do live stream and you talk and sharing your thoughts and it makes you feel better, then I mean, there's a platform for that.
Yeah.
Even though YouTube is a weird one, it does allow you to just rant.
Yeah. And I do a bit of that. I do a bit of ranting from time to time.
Yeah.
And it can help. But so that's I'm doing my best to try to find my way. I'm in my 40s now, and I
Mm.
don't have the best situation, but I'm doing what I can to try to build something that will help not only help me be fulfilled, but be at least meaningful to people around me. And it's
Yeah.
not easy. It's not easy
No, no,
starting over when you're this old.
no, no, not at all. I don't envy you in that.
Yeah.
But it's expectations is usually where you have to, like, normal, like, let's say you can make it fine with just a normal, what many would deem more boring job, but you can have a good family, then that's maybe good enough.
Yeah.
Like
It's better than nothing.
when people are young in their 20s, they're very idealistic. They think
Yeah.
that they can control the world, that they can do whatever they want. It's like, nah. But in the same time, like, they're gonna learn hard lessons that. But at the same time, and this I try to point out with more younger people who are, it's like, be happy also with not mediocrity, because that's a bad word, but if you have stable income somewhere and you can enjoy hobbies and you are financially secure enough, maybe not rich, but you're financially secure to pay all the bills,
Yeah.
sometimes just be happy with that for a while. You should still work on yourself and always try to be better. That's not the point. But don't go only thinking about, oh, I have to do this in the future. Also remember that, yeah, I can just enjoy a glass of whiskey right now. Ah, so nice. Don't forget to
Yeah.
live in the moment for a little bit.
It's important to do that, and that's why I make myself not use the internet for at least a few days a week
Yep.
because I want to make myself enjoy going out inside and just enjoying nature, enjoying the sunset, talking to friends that I have through my husband. Maybe I'll just read the Bible or read a book for an evening and just take some time to myself, or maybe I'll use an emulator and play a video game that I like for the Nintendo from 30 years ago. Just I try to change it up and give myself not just so I'm not just stuck in the same rut all the time. I like to do
Yeah.
enjoyable things, start new projects with people, help people clean out a garage. I think that's an important thing. Like people in the long ago used to call it the spice of life, having different activities, doing new things, and I think that's important. And my life was lacking in that after I had to move back
Yeah,
here.
but I think the issue with that, I've been thinking a lot about that, and having new activities and all of that. The issue is when you counter in like when you think of a child with that mindset, you think the child is a detriment because now you're no longer free. Because now you're just that with that a child becomes a detriment if you want to have the free ability to travel wherever you want, do whatever you want, work wherever you want. But a child, so they think I have to do everything now. Maybe have a child when I'm 35 or 40, because when I'm a child, I'm dead. Like my life is a child. Like,
I
I'm no
don't think
longer
that's
free.
necessarily
No,
true.
but many think that way.
Yeah, and I think
Many, and that's one big reason why the birth rates are so low.
Yeah.
It's because the focus on the materialistic and
Mm-hmm.
not the wrong focus of the materialistic. Because they
I
think
think
everything's over. But once you have a
yeah,
child, it's not even. It's a new chapter, yes, but you're still free in many aspects.
I think one of the reasons is because of the natural changes that prosperous civilizations have mixed
Yeah,
with the propagandic changes we've had,
yeah.
like with people trying to kill God and kill the family, that kind of thing. I think that those two things together have sort of inverted the man's place in the natural order, where now everything is reflected to people in life. You're an individual. You need to be selfish and put yourself first instead of you need to make something bigger than yourself and invest in that because that's where meaning lies. And I think that that's something that sadly is just starting to be
Uh,
lost to a lot
but
of people these
I
days.
also do think absolutely, but also many men, even in the egotistical individual sense, many men don't have the ability to do that. For example, most
Mhm.
men they aren't fulfilled and they haven't the manly urges aren't fulfilled at all. This is why people like Jordan Peterson and now Andrew Tate have become
Yeah.
such a big person because you can get your craving, the testosterone cravings again as a
Yeah.
man. It's kind of what you
Mhm.
want. But
Yeah, I
there is
talked to my friend
there,
Red
there
Hawk about that kind of stuff a lot. He's all about
yeah,
helping men become men and find their
yeah,
healthy masculinity. Yeah.
but that's yeah. I don't usually like people who are whatever. But the issue is there's no tools for that right now. War is one tool. Where men, well, while killing themselves, could use the masculine urges. So if you survived it, my God, it was great. But you usually didn't survive. Well, you usually survived it early on. With modern warfare, you usually don't survive anymore. So it's not
Right.
you can't do that much more. It's not very chivalrous anymore. But any tools for masculine activity has disappeared, such as war, battle, conflict. Conflict is no longer there. There's not again in universities in particular. It's very feminine.
Yeah.
It was created by feminine autistic men. They like rituals and that made it feel
Yeah.
having a reason for everything. And that's all fine. That's all fine. But not every guy likes that. But there is inherently nothing wrong with the more grug brain but good at heart guy. But there's no good tools for him to be the good-hearted grog man. So
Yeah, one of the
many
things
people
3
become
Phillips
lost.
said. Oh, sorry, go ahead. I didn't mean to talk over
Oh,
you.
sorry. Many people got lost. They become vilified. Exactly.
One of the things that my co-host on Monday night said this week was that something that people need to do, young men especially, is challenge yourself in ways that are constructive. Set yourself goals that are going to be challenging so you know that you've accomplished things and you derive fulfillment from it, like building a model, building something for your house, uh, doing things that are constructive and challenging so you can say, hey, look, I did that. And it
Yeah.
gives you a sense of fulfillment, and then you can move on to something bigger and tackle bigger challenges. And so I've been trying to set little challenges in front of me, trying to clean out a room that I've been wanting to clean out for a long time, for example, that kind of thing. And it does help. It does help.
Yeah. Yeah, and it works, but it's usually even bigger than that. I mean, I'm thinking about what instruments some men have, and I think the only instrument left is sports. That's why a lot of men focus on sport because sports has just replaced war.
Yeah, yeah. That's sport. Sport is very big around here. People, the men in this area, they love football, they love baseball, they love golf, they love hunting, tennis, any kind of sport, whether it's whether it's sort of a soft, easy sport like golf and tennis, or it's something rugged like hiking and hunting.
Mhm.
Like that's very big in this area where I live.
Yeah, because it's the only way you can get fulfillment.
Yep.
And sure, it's a replacement, definitely. But is it always a good replacement? Not for everybody. No,
Yeah. Yeah.
it's not very constructive. The only thing that happens is the people who run these sports get very rich, but society as a whole earn nothing from it. So again, I don't know what would replace it. I'm not saying anything like that, but it's still interesting to. Again, I'm not the first one to say this. It seems like
Oh, yeah.
every manosphere person says this. I'm not a manosphere person, but like anyone within the manosphere or something like that.
I'm definitely not a manosphere person either, obviously.
No.
But
So,
no, it's true though. Like there is something to be said and noticed about when the masculine urges of violence, statecraft, and warfare
Yeah.
are not easily met. The men in your society will become unrestful and problematic. They will start shit, and I think that's something that we're going to have to deal with in all of our countries going forward. It's going to be a very interesting time the next 20 or 30 years to see how things shake out, see how things form. Definitely an interesting time to be alive.
Definitely.
Well, with that being said, there's still no more questions for you or me even on Entropy or any of the other sites. So let's go ahead and start winding down then and saying our goodbyes. Is there anything that has come to mind that you'd like to shill? Anything that you'd like to invite people to besides just subscribing to you?
For the moment, just subscribing.
Well, I'm going to go ahead and share your link again.
Feel free to share the article I just wrote. I need to do more spell checking on it, but I felt it was very fitting to post it while you were viewing it. So I'm viewing the website.
Well, that was cool. I've never had anybody do that before. That was neat. All right, let me. I'm getting your links in the chat here again before we pop out of here.
Here's that one.
All right, give me just a moment here. There it is. I found it. Okay. And we'll go ahead and share that one. I'm going to put that link. Now, this link is to the new article. So this is where you'll go to bookmark his website here. This is that
I
article
reckon, and if you're interested in more, that was just a funny little article. We have actually a lot more written down.
Oh, of course. I just wanted to get it in the chat since you posted it while we were on stream. But no, there's definitely serious stuff on the site too.
Oh yeah, definitely.
But
if you look at the core concept part, whoever one's watching, there is the core concept, which is 58 pages. Then it's in German and French. Work with Europeans, so a lot of languages.
Well, I had a wonderful time talking to you, like always. You're a smart, fun person to talk to. You make excellent content. I enjoyed listening to you play your several of your Fallout New Vegas streams. That was a lot of fun back when you did that. That was a lot of fun too. But,
it's banter.
Oh, banter's fun. I think banter's great. That's one of the things I miss from my youth is just sitting around with friends and laughing and bullshitting while we play video games. That's not something I've been able to do for a very long time. I miss that. But it was excellent having you on today. I hope that all of you who've been listening, we had a decent audience for an early evening. We had around 40, all the sites included. So I hope that the 38 to 40 of you listened. I hope that you enjoyed Pomen. I hope you check out his content, give him a subscribe and a follow. And Pomen, I look forward to having a conversation again with you in the future, my friend. It was an excellent time.
Definitely.
And with that being said, anything you want to leave anybody with on our way out of here? Anything you want to say as a goodbye?
Yes, thank you everybody for listening. I hope you guys enjoy. I hope you guys go to view some of the contents and stick around. Feel free to comment and tell me that you came from the stream if you watch the video and you like them. Otherwise, goodbye, everybody.
All right. Thank you again for being here, Pomen, and thank you all for listening to the streams, and thank you for sharing it and always giving me an ear to talk to. And as long as you lend me your ears, I'll lend you my voice. And I'll see you all next Monday night for Discordant Dragons. I hope you have a blessed weekend, everybody.